Scott Van Pelt anchors ESPN's Midnight Sports Center. He's got his own podcast. He does Monday Night Countdown. He's on the road. He'll be calling the Masters Par 3 contest today. That'll be noon to 4 Eastern, and then live coverage first and second round of the Masters. A tradition unlike any other. But before we get to that, Scotty, we're both nominated. Our show, you as a host. We're 0 for 5. You're 0 for
8.
So outstanding studio host, 0 for 8.
Yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot of times to sit there until the very end. And
Yes.
It's a long evening. There's no food. The bitterness builds. And then they say, Ernie Johnson.
Yeah.
Or Mike Tirico. And there have been years where Ernie's not nominated and then Mike wins. And then there's years when Mike's not nominated and then Ernie wins. And this year, Dan, they're both nominated. So we're going to just do the math and just put that 9 in the right-hand column, pal.
Well, when I was nominated for studio host, Bob Costas was always there.
That was a tough one. I got nominated against him a couple of times early on. I just looked at that as sort of being like Abilene Christian against Texas. You know, I was probably getting 38 and a half on that board.
Well, I always viewed it as I was Patrick Ewing in the Jordan era. I wasn't going to win. I was proud of myself, and I would try to put up a good fight, but I knew I was going to lose. I just didn't know in how many games.
Here's the win for me. I'm at Augusta National. I'm going to have lunch with there's a member here that I've become friendly with, and we seem to eat lunch on the day that the nominations come out, and it's become kind of this running joke. He's like, "Yeah, did you get the notification?" And yesterday I said, "You know what? I did." And so I'm going to look at it as a win because I ate a grilled cheese and bacon sandwich at Augusta National on a perfectly sunny day at the Masters. Ernie Johnson didn't do that. Mike Tirico might have, actually.
Yeah,
Mike, I believe, is
true.
here somewhere. But hey, listen, I mean, listen, we could joke. And of course, I know you guys want to win and you should. I hope you do someday because your show's been awesome for a long time. Of course, you want to hear your name, but you make the cut, you make the cut. There's a hell of a lot of people that do what we do. So you do have to give yourself a little grace and say, that's pretty cool. Nice to see your name. And then you go to New York and then you lose.
Yeah, but I say this to the Danettes, and they haven't won before, but I say you just want to be relevant. You want to be nominated. You want to stay in the game. That's all. And we're a little show. We have 12 employees, including me. So you're going against big boys here, but that's why I said, you know what? One of these days, that before I retire, and I don't want to get a posthumous sports Emmy, Scott. So, if you want to accept it for me, but I'd rather not get one where they go, oh, we feel sorry for him.
He had a good run. And then you get a lifetime achievement.
Yeah,
It's
I don't
like,
want
for
that
what?
either. I don't want that.
No lifetime. All right, so
Okay.
Academy, take notes. No lifetime.
Yeah, we're going to break down Scott's chances. All right, Paulie.
Yeah, we're talking to Vegas. Scotty, you're well deserving of this, of course, needless to say. But you're up against Tirico, Kate Scott of CBS, Ernie Johnson, and Scott Hansen. Scott Hansen's the wild card. New guy.
Ooh, a little quad box here. Witching hour.
Yeah, fresh face. Scott is entering, though, the Paul Newman Color Money episode, though, where we've overlooked him. This is his turn.
Paul, if I may interject, years ago, the COVID year, I believe you had me as a lock because of the work we did on.
Yes.
That was the one year I got real bitter because I'm like, we created content out of nothing. No one else was doing television, and we still didn't win. And if that wasn't enough, that was the one year I think I got bitter. It's like, well, the hell with it. It's nothing I could do. So Color of Money, maybe, I don't know.
Scott, we were doing our show every day during COVID. Just to let you know.
Thanks, pal.
Yeah.
Were you nominated?
Probably so. We lost. Yeah.
Did Paul say you were a lock because Paul went on your show and said, well, I was a lock?
No, the only time I ever felt angry was when I had a guy who voted and he said, saw your tape, you're going to win this thing. And I go, so I'm there with my wife. And God dang it. I wanted to go Larry Bird where I get up and just put the finger up that I just won. And the winner is, and I went to get up. My wife grabs my arm as I get ready to get up, and they go, and the winner is Bob Costas. And then I thought, well, I'm almost up. Do I stand and give him because I was kind of caught in between? That's the only one where I go, you've got to be kidding me. You know?
It's you. We occupy a tricky space where you kind of what you're saying is you feel like you deserve to win is what I'm hearing.
That's true.
Kind of what I'm hearing.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Okay.
And I feel like we deserve to win this year.
Good.
I do.
Say it. Speak it into existence. I mean, there's nights I'm driving home. I'm like, what other idiots out there doing this by themselves every night at midnight? Like, no one. Who else is doing this? But then you're like, you know what? You're doing that because these guys have elevated beyond the need to do that. You're just some grinder out there. Keep your head down. Keep working.
Yeah, but Scott, for 15 years, I was working second shift.
I mean, I relate to you.
Okay.
I know this.
Right.
I know this.
Okay.
I'm not saying
Okay.
I'm not saying my pain's worse than your pain, Dan. We're not doing pain comparison here.
Okay.
This is interesting, by the way, to just us, no one else. We're just bitching about not winning an Emmy.
You know, it's weird. We're talking to the Sports Emmy nominated Scott Van Pelt, who has no chance of winning. The number of people who have called in to complain about Brian Harmon taking forever to hit his shot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, baseball's had a pitch clock forever.
Mm-hmm.
And then they finally go, oh, we got a pitch clock, let's use it. Golf, they can put you on the clock, but, do we need a shot clock?
I think I was part of the TGL launch this year, which for those that didn't see, the Tomorrow Golf League, Tiger and Rory behind it, it's SoFi Center in Palm Beach Gardens, indoor, sort of just an enormous simulator. I thought it was a cool thing. It was fun. They have a clock, you see it, and the one person that got a violation, I believe there was only one, and it was Tiger, which that's how you know it's real. If they're gonna call a violation on him, then it's a real thing. But what you're dealing with is a big, giant clock that you can see that's right there. And when it goes off, there's really nothing to do but say, well, that's a penalty. In golf, it's outdoors. Do you have a rules official with each group? It's a bit vague. And Harmon is a good dude who, I don't know if you've had him on the show, but he's a Georgia guy. He's a huge sports fan. And he knows that it takes too long. And he doesn't want to take that long. It's just, he's kind of got these ticks that he is pre-shot that he's working through. But the bottom line is, golf would benefit greatly if there were sort of a clock that we knew when it started and when it hit zero, you get a warning and then you get a penalty because the game does take a long time to get moving.
Is there an innovation on the LIV Tour that you could see the PGA Tour eventually adopting?
Taking money from the Saudi fund, taking the forbidden money that they said, no, you can't take that money. Wait, how much? That's the one.
Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of just sort of like the shorts and the rock and roll and whatever else, not necessarily. And that feels hopefully like felt like the roads were divergent. Now it feels like they're going to intersect at some point because the game benefits when Rahm and DeChambeau and Koepka, et cetera, are playing with all the other guys on the PGA Tour. We see it this week, which is good, but that's the one. The innovation is just figure it out and let's get back together.
But they have graphics. Now, they have too many graphics on the screen.
It's kind of like PTI, but a PTI times a billion, right? Like there's the graphic presentation. I get what they're going for, but I'm with you. I think there's probably a sweet spot in the middle where it doesn't need to be that many, but maybe more than you typically have. I mean, I've done golf for 30-something years. God, it's not that long. Whatever it is. So there's only so much you can do with it, right? It's going to take a while. You could show the wind direction. You could show the slope on the green. But I don't know if there's a first down line, right? Like we got in football.
Yeah.
People want shot tracer. If they don't see which direction is, I give up. Where's the arrow on the friggin' screen?
Historically, how good is Scottie Scheffler?
Already on the short list because of what he's demonstrated here, that and his ability to stack monster tournaments.
Does he want to be a superstar? Does he? Well, maybe not a superstar. Does he want to be a star?
No. That's his secret sauce, Dan. I think is that he has maintained a similar humility to before everyone knew his name. And he keeps focusing on doing the same stuff. He's a simple sounds like a knock. It's not, it's a compliment. He's maintained a simple approach. He's really good at what he's really good at, and that's pretty much everything. And he has no desire to seek it. Now I do think that the one thing you got to learn to live with, and I feel like you've seen him get a little bit more prickly with the media this year. I think he just doesn't suffer the nonsense well. And you got to just somehow trick yourself the way Tiger did, that I'm going to be asked a lot of the same stuff. A lot of it's probably going to feel mundane and dumb. And I've answered this before, but you kind of have to just sort of do it again like you haven't done it before. That'll be the interesting thing. Just learning to live with the day-to-day requests that come of that guy when you're that guy. When he's looking around going, this isn't that big a deal, But that's really his secret sauce. I truly believe that, is that he is a superstar with none of the trappings.
But okay, you're talking about answering the questions over and over. You got Colin Morikawa, who says, it's not our obligation to talk to the media. Rory just echoed the same sentence. Like, where's this coming from that these guys don't feel, I don't want to say indebted, but in partnership with the media covering their sport?
I think Colin explained what happened at Bay Hill, where he came out and was ready for the questions or ready for the media person to be there, and no one was there. And then he went and signed for the folks that were there, autographs. And then by the time the person got there, he's like, look, I was here and I'm done. And I think there's a fine line. I've thought a lot about this when it came to Rory. Last year, I said it, I believe you did as well, about Pinehurst. And Greg talked after it completely imploded here at Augusta. You remember it, standing in the trees at night down there, and he answered the questions, and he smiled, and he said the sun will come up tomorrow, essentially. And I think I wanted to know in that moment what happened. But then there's a human part of me where I think there's a little grace to be extended here. Like, if it were the NBA Finals, which you covered so well for so many years, there's that little grace period where they're in the locker room before they're going to come out. And sometimes you got to wait for LeBron or Michael back in the day for a while. But if there was that cooling off period where we waited, and it wasn't just, you've got to go right on NBC and tell us you missed a 2-foot putt and you lost the U.S. Open, how do you feel? Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like if there were a little bit of grace, a little bit of a buffer zone, which exists in the other sports, that might be beneficial. Does that make sense at all to you?
Kelvin Sampson waited an hour before he met with the media, I think, after losing the national title game.
And that's based on what happened to his team on Monday night. That feels entirely reasonable to me. Yeah. Because if he were asked to speak walking off the floor, I can't imagine what he could have even uttered. I don't know how you could have gotten a word out after what happened. You know what I'm saying? Look, you and I are on the same lane here, on the other side of the rope, where I'm interested in that human emotion. That's why I enjoy the show I get to do. I get to talk to these people in the moments after high achievement, and you get to try to get the feelings out of them. But I'm talking the winners. You know what I mean? I don't have the person that just lost in gutting fashion on the show and like, how are you right now?
You have to have that hushed tone.
Yeah, you got to take that very affected. Well, I mean, you want to be, hey, how's it going? You doing all right? But I really do. I've thought a lot about this, particularly with Rory, because I think he is often as good as anyone in this sport and giving you the good stuff. And so how do we find the room to give them a little bit of time to allow them to decompress? And if they want to go out and slam the trunk and say, I got nothing for you, we'll catch up down the road. That's where I think it's fair to say, if we gave you the space, it wasn't unreasonable to ask where you were.
Who's got more scar tissue, Rory with what happened at Augusta, or Jordan Spieth, what happened at the 12th when he lost to Danny Willett that year?
It's different because what Spieth has here is the knowledge that he gets to come back until he no longer wishes to because he's won. And what Rory has is the weight of knowing that this represents the Holy Grail. This represents the conclusion of the slam. So I think I think there's more weight on the shoulders of Rory. I don't think he's got the same, like, when you get to 12 and you're Spieth, I don't know how you ever forget what happened in that moment. Now you could say, well, Rory had the same thing happen on 10. Wasn't as gory, you know what I mean? But that's an interesting one. I just think for Spieth, like he's unencumbered here of thinking, well, I gotta figure out how to win because I want to come back forever. You know, Greg Norman, Dan, was going to win here, had many chances, and then the sand in the hourglass runs out, and that's it. You don't get to come back anymore. And that's the thing about this place is the people that have had their moments and been so close. It's the kind of place you want to come back to forever. So I think the weight on Rory's shoulders is clearly heavier. I think the damage that was done on 12, only Jordan knows that.
Great to talk to you. This is the year we celebrate together. Yeah,
If it's not me,
let's go. Come on.
Hey, if it's not me, I want it to be you. But really, what I mean is, I want it to be me.
I know.
Last year, I mean, you probably have to go. Just tell me to shut up. But Tracy Wolfson and I were talking because we were both in the same boat. I think she was 0 for 9 or 0 for 8, and we're like, I want it to be you. And then she won, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome, it's Tracy. And then in my brain, I'm like, there's no way we're both going to win, and she just did. So I really want it to be me, Dan, not you.
Scott Van Pelt. Thank you, Scotty.
Always, my man. Be well.
The par 3 contest, it'll be today at noon to 4 Eastern on the Mothership. We'll take a break. Back after this.